All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to unlock the web itself. Yeah, really. We're going to peek behind the scenes and look at the secret code that builds every single website you visit, from your social media feed to your favorite news site. And that language, it's called HTML. Think of it as the hidden blueprint for the entire internet. I mean, you see a really slick, modern website, and it feels like magic, right? But what's actually going on under the hood? Behind all those cool graphics and clickable buttons, how in the world does your browser know what to show you and where to put everything?
Well, the truth is, behind every single one of those pages, there's a blueprint, a set of instructions written in code. And today, you and we're going to learn how to read it. It's kind of like using that inspect tool on your browser to peek behind the curtain. We're going to do that right now.
Okay, to really get a handle on how a website works, let's use an analogy that I think makes a ton of sense. Let's imagine we're building a house, because a house, just like a website, really has three main parts that have to work together to make the whole thing stand. All right, let's break this down. First up, you've got HTML. That stands for Hypertext Markup Language, by the way. Now, HTML, that's the frame of the house. It's the walls, the floors, the roof, the actual structure that gives it its shape. Then you've got CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. And this is all the fun stuff. It's the decoration, the paint colors, the furniture, the cool carpets that make the house actually look like a home.
And that brings us to the third piece of the puzzle, JavaScript. So if HTML is the frame and CSS is the decoration, JavaScript is the electricity and the plumbing. It's what adds all the functionality. It makes the light switches work, it makes the doors open. On a website, JavaScript is what makes things happen. It's the magic that can change the page right in front of your eyes when you click a button or scroll.
But here's the most crucial point, and I really want you to get this. Everything, and I mean absolutely everything, starts with that structure. Without the HTML skeleton, you've got nothing to decorate with CSS and nothing to make functional with JavaScript. It is the absolute 100% non-negotiable foundation of the entire web, period. So, okay, if HTML is the skeleton, then what are the bones? So, what is an HTML tag? Well, it's basically just a container for your content. And the best way I've heard this explained is to think of it like a bunch of labeled boxes or dabbas in your kitchen, right? You've got one that says sugar, another one for spices, and so on. That label tells you exactly what's inside. Well, in HTML, tags do the exact same thing for the stuff on a web page.
Let's take a quick look at the anatomy of a tag, because it's super simple. Most of them come in pairs. First, you have an opening tag, like this, P for a paragraph. That tells the browser, hey, start a paragraph here. Then you have the actual content, the words you see. And finally, you have a closing tag. See that little /? That's a signal to the browser that says, okay, we're done with the paragraph now. It's a really clear start and a really clear finish.
Okay, so that's the theory. But you might be wondering, how does this actually look? How does a browser take that little bit of code and turn it into something we can see on the screen? Let's walk through a super simple example. All right, so we'll start with a heading. The tag H1, that's used for the most important heading on the whole page. So you can see right here, we've wrapped our text, my first page, inside an opening H1 tag and a closing H1 tag. That's it. That's the entire instruction we're giving the browser.
And this is the result. The moment the browser sees that H1 code, it knows exactly what to do. It displays that text as a big, bold, important heading. See? The tag is the instruction, and this right here is the visual result.
Pretty cool, right?
Okay, let's do one more. This time, we're using the P tag, which, you can probably guess, stands for paragraph. So we've just put a simple sentence inside the opening and closing P tags. And there you go. Here's the result. The browser sees that P and renders it as a normal paragraph of text. This is the core magic of HTML, really. Every single tag is just a command telling the browser how to show a certain piece of content. Okay, so we get the individual bricks now. The tags for headings and paragraphs. But how do we take all those little bricks and assemble them into a complete blueprint for an entire web page?
Well, it turns out pretty much every HTML page on the planet follows the same basic blueprint. The whole thing is wrapped in an HTML tag, and inside that you have two main sections. First, there's the head. This holds all the hidden info, like the little page title you see up in your browser tab. And second, you have the body, and this is the big one. It holds all the visible stuff you actually see on the page.
Now, inside that body, we don't just dump all our headings and paragraphs in a big messy pile. We use what are called semantic tags to give our layout some actual meaning. And this is so important. These tags tell browsers, search engines, and screen readers what each section is for. It's a huge deal for things like getting found on Google and making websites usable for everyone.
And really, there are three big ones you'll see all the time. You've got the header tag for the very top of your page. That's usually where the logo and the navigation links live. Then you have the footer for the very bottom with stuff like contact info or copyright notices. And smack in the middle, you have the main tag, which wraps around all the important, unique content for that specific page. So visually, if you strip away all the fancy colors and fonts, this is what the structure of pretty much any modern website looks like. You've got a clear header at the top, a footer at the bottom, and all the main content is just sandwiched right in between. It's a clean, super logical, and universally understood layout.
And just like that, you now have the key. Seriously, you've just learned the fundamental language of the entire web. You can now look at pretty much any website and understand the basic blueprint that holds it all together.
So here's what I want you to do. Go to one of your favorite websites, any website at all, right-click anywhere on the page and hit Inspect. I promise you'll see the code, the blueprint that we've been talking about. You'll spot the head, the body, you'll see the headers and the paragraphs. You can now actually read the web. Go try it. And that really brings us to the final and maybe the most exciting question of all. You now know that the web isn't some kind of magic. It's just a blueprint. And a blueprint, well, that's a plan for building something new. So now that you can read the web's blueprint, what would you want to build?